Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. I have just come back from the stadium after a very intense Napoli Venezia, especially with Raspadori's goal in the last 15 minutes. Nearly lost my voice. But after a quick live post game, I want to have a conversation that goes a little bit deeper. And I want to have that with a good friend of the channel, Daniel Bowen, who won actually I think it was November Napoli Talk match predictor game. So we're doing this video together. He's a huge Napoli fan and friend of the channel. I'm sure you guys all know him. Dan, how's it going, man?
Hey Dom, how you doing? Thanks for having me on your channel. Oof. Uh, man, it's going like I'm happy that we dominated the game and we got the win, but I can't lie, I was nervous at the end. And the one thing that I was like, wow, what's going on here is when Raspa came in for Zombo. That's the last substitute I think anybody expected. But man, Conte had to have saw something in practice this week because that was the perfect sub. It worked out exactly how you would want it to work out when you're trying to be more aggressive. And I mean, Raspadori has proven that when he's in front of goal, he's pretty clinical, and we're
Mm.
missing that part of our attack is being is executing in front of goal. And he has proven throughout his career that he has that. So that worked out. Um And I'm hoping that this is something that we can actually count on because I feel like we're going to need to count on something off the bench in attack to pull out points that we're going to need in the future throughout the season.
Yeah. Let me just break that down because I agree with 100% of what you said. So first of all, the shock in seeing Anguissa come off for Raspadori, that's number one, for two reasons. One, we don't see a lot of Raspadori nowadays. And number two, Anguissa has been maybe our most informed player of the last month, maybe alongside Neres, right? So to see him come off, it's a very bold move by Antonio Conte. It almost reminds me of a time when Spalletti took off Osimhen with like 20 minutes to go against Roma with the score 1-1 and brought on Simeone. And I was like, wait, what? Like, we need to win this game, man. But that's the beauty of these coaches. They are class coaches. They see what players give in the training ground every day. And he must have seen something Raspadori, as you said. The second point is about, the idea of having people that come off the bench that are actually going to make a difference. So we saw that a lot in the Scudetto winning season. I remember that, Simeone, Raspadori, and Elmas as well. Like I lose count of how many games they won for us. And it's something that we lacked this season apart from Neres. That was kind of the only guy that was coming on and actually making a difference. And today we had Neres starting. So we had automatically already played that card. We didn't even have that card actually to play. And we needed to rely on guys that previously just did not deliver this season. And it's not just something that's for us. I mean, if you look at Atalanta as well, how many times have they brought on Samardzic, or for example, yesterday they brought on Brescianini and he scored the equalizer against Lazio. So these teams, if they want to win the Scudetto, they're going to have to rely on the bench. And you say, we're going to have to count on Raspadori. So the question that I want to give to you is Raspadori still on the market as the rumors had it over the past few weeks? There's been talks of, exchanges with some Juventus players, Fagioli, for example, some Roma players, Pellegrini, or has this goal given Conte and De Laurentiis, a bit of food for thought? And it's like, oh, maybe we can count on him. We saw maybe a new position as well for Raspadori. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, listening to some of the post-game comments that Conte made, it seems like he is not really keen on letting Raspadori go, and maybe this was a little bit of a strategic move by him too, is that he wants to show ADL that he's still willing to use Raspadori, especially if it's gonna be to get more goals, and his comments said that too, is that we need to score more goals. You know, it's obvious that he's wanting to do that. They've been more aggressive in the last few matches. It hasn't really come to a complete fruition. I mean, even though we got 2 against Genoa and 3 against Udinese, they haven't really been consistent. Like, it's always been a tale of 2 halves.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we dominated this entire game. Like, the only chance they had, Merritt had a great save, but I still think we dominated the entire game, so that's good, but man, he's right. We need to get more than just 1 goal, you know, and
yeah.
Raspadori is clinical in front of goal, and honestly, I trust that Conte is gonna make the right decision if we need to make changes or we need to add some quality, but I think Raspadori offers a quality in front of goal that we don't wanna lose.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think you bring up a good point that actually in recent games, I feel like the quality of our play has gone up a little bit. You know, like we've been seeing some nicer passages of play. We've been seeing more shots on goal. But yeah, it's not been for 90 minutes and it's not been super smooth. The thing that kind of worries me a little bit is that this has been against Venezia, Genoa, and Udinese, right? So like we have been playing better, but we've not, gone out and like destroyed these teams. But then if you look at what Atalanta and Inter do, like Inter won 3-0 against Cagliari, like they seem to be a bit more fluid with the way that they can like move past these teams. But look, at the end of the day, I think Napoli is a reflection of their manager. You know, Conte, as much as he says that he wants to score more goals and win more comfortably, that's never been his way.
Yeah, man, I agree with you that that isn't the Conte way. Um, I would be, very curious to see the history of him and every scudetto that he's won, especially that run with Juve, like, what the goal difference was, especially compared to the rest of the league. But, I still think the last few matches are encouraging just because it's obvious that they're more aggressive in attack. And their defense, you know for sure that their defense was what he wanted to fix first. Bro, that's been fixed for a while. Our defense is rock solid, and even
Even
with
with Juan
Juan
Jesus.
yeah, even with Juan Jesus, man, even him. I mean, even with him in there, we haven't looked like we don't know what we're doing, and he's had a couple moments where like, "Oh, no." You know what I mean? Like, we've had a couple nervous moments, but they still look very organized. So, that's a really good sign that it's been like that. This next game coming up against, Fiorentina, I think is going to really show if our defense is gonna be okay until Buongiorno comes back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, for sure. I I think maybe what we expected today was a bit more goals, considering that we had Neres and Kvaratskhelia starting.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on that? Like, is this something that Conte will try again, or is this a bit of a failed experiment? You know, the fact that when they were on the field together, we couldn't get the goal. My personal view, before I leave the floor to you, is
Yeah.
that when you're playing against a team that has 5 defenders at the back, and both on the right and on the left, they're trying to cut into their stronger foot. It just makes everything just too compact. You know, I
Mhm.
prefer when you play against a team with 5 at the back that you try to like create space, and so you
Yeah.
have players that are like a bit more traditional wingers, where if you're left-footed, you play with your left foot, and if you're right-footed, you play with your right foot, and you
Mm,
like keep as close to the touch lines as possible, and you
mm,
create some gaps in the middle for your strikers and midfielders to run into.
yeah.
And if you really have to, you just play with one player that cuts inside. But when you have both, then that's a bit of a problem.
Unfortunately, I think, oh boy. So Cavada played. He had the ball a lot today, but he didn't do much with it. And he had his opportunities to actually make an impact on the game. He even had some shots where, he just needed to do a little bit better with those shots that he had. And oh man, I hate to say it, but it won't surprise me if Conte tries to go once without starting Cavada with Neres over there and Politano on the right. I think that I think that might happen, and I don't know what kind of effect that's gonna have on Cavada, if it's gonna be more positive or negative. I think that depends on how Conte, really talks to him about that, because sometimes, man, no matter how good of a player you are, sometimes you need something to light a spark, and maybe him sitting down one game when he's fit to play might do that, but if I had to say, it would probably backfire. So I think there's some tension there, man. I really do, and I think Neres had a positive impact on the game, and I think that we still need that. You've got some out there that are, saying that he's way better on the left than he is on the right. Man, I don't know about that, because if you look at the beginning of the season, he played on the right when he was in those first few times, and he made a positive impact over there. He's scored from there, he's assisted from there. I don't think it makes that much of a difference where he's playing, but Cavada needs to play better, bro. He just needs to play better, in my opinion. And Politano, no matter how good he plays, he's not really gonna make a huge impact in attack. That's just something we gotta accept. But if Cavada can't execute better, we may see Cavada, sit for a game to see how that works out. And we'll see how that happens. I mean, we'll see what happens with that, man. Like, Fiorentina's up next. I don't know off the top of my head if that's a game where Cavada can take advantage of the defense or not. But man, I don't know. I'm not sure about how all that's working out. I was looking forward to today, and I think there was moments where, oh man, this is what we want to see. This is what we want to see, and then Cavada just didn't execute. So that was extremely disappointing. I mean, honestly, Dom, Inter's got a really good defense this year. I think they're top three. So I think we're gonna need to figure out a way to break down their defense, and Cavada can still be that guy. I'm just hoping that Cavada's in the right mindset to do so. And the second half of the season, I'm just I'm in the mindset where I think they're going to get better as the season progresses with the goal scoring, but if we don't, oof, man, it's going to be rough to actually win it at the end, because I don't see Inter at Atalanta slowing down like to a point where that's going to make the result that we want to actually win the Scudetto. They're going to lose points, and the fact that they're both in Champions League is extremely important for us and having an advantage, but it's not like we can see signs of them slowing down to a point where they're gonna go in a slump.
So right now we have 41 points, same as Atalanta. We have the chance to go to 44 by the 19th game of the season at half point. Inter have the chance to go all the way to 46. That gives them a 92 points projection to finish the year. For us, it would be 88. What do you think is the points that we will actually need to be champions? What is the amount that we have to target at the end of the year? If you were Conte, what's the number that you would circle?
I mean, I think that if you make 90 the points that you think you need, then that's realistic. I mean, we got one more game to play. We're already at 41. I mean, until we got the halfway point, right? If you make like that the target, then that's going to be more than we've gotten in the first half of the season. And, the fact that we lost to Lazio and Atalanta at home makes you like, okay, that's a reasonable goal because we shouldn't have lost those games. Oh, and shit, Verona too, right? So those 3 losses is 9 points right there that we shouldn't have lost.
In most years, you can probably get away with 86, 84, 83. But this year, with so many teams fighting, I wouldn't be surprised if the last game of the season were all three still, playing. I don't want to imagine my heart rate in that game.
Oh, but
But
that's exciting. That's what I
then,
want, bro. I want it to
then
be until the
no,
very end. Imagine
that
that
is.
3 heart rate. Dude, that's what I want. I want to see that, bro. I do. I mean, winning
I
it
don't think
like
I would.
that would
I
be
don't think I
so
would
special.
survive that. I don't think I would survive that, man. Uh, I would rather just, especially if you lose that. What I don't want is to lose on the last game of the season, man. Oh, that would be
Well,
terrible.
if you look at our schedule, I think the last 4 games of the season when I've looked at it are
It,
all against lower table teams.
yeah, we have
So
like
that's really
Cagliari,
good too.
Parma, all these guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope they're not in a relegation battle. Let's hope everybody's already thinking about their vacation in Ibiza, like chilling, and then we can get some points out of them. Dan, man, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being a huge, huge contributor to the Napoli community in general, and for always supporting my channel. Any last comments you want to add?
No, other than Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family and all the Napoli Nation out there. Let's hope we can get that one more victory before the end of the first half of the season happens next weekend. And yeah.
Thanks, Daniel, for being on the channel. And I'll put his links down in the description below. So go and check him out. Guys, thank you for watching. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre. Ciao.